Environmental Technologies Fund is one of Europe's leading venture and growth equity investors. We invest in some of the most exciting European technology companies. These companies all have one thing in common. They have a very large environmental impact in terms of the activities that they do. So when you look at the technologies, they typically end up using less of natural resources, being more efficient in terms of how they address some of the problems, and they are growing very, very fast. Being a venture capitalist and a growth equity investor, one of our roles is, of course, to work very actively with our companies, and that's where Saint-Gobain comes in. This partnership between Saint-Gobain and the Environmental Technologies Fund was created about a year ago. We work very closely and providing an ear to the ground for the Nova team. We see many of the entrepreneurs and the startups in the European context, but also in the global context. We can provide that to Saint-Gobain, that access to these young technology companies in a different way compared to what perhaps Saint-Gobain could do themselves. I think that's one of the benefits from a Saint-Gobain perspective. From our perspective, it's much more about the networking and being able to offer that to our portfolio companies, the access to Saint-Gobain's global network and global reach, but also in terms of validating the technology and helping those companies coming out into the world. The common goal between Saint-Gobain and the Nova team and Environmental Technologies Fund is really to try and actually address a very big problem. And those are the environmental pressures that we see. And one of the ways that we're addressing this problem is, of course, by finding innovative technology. An illustration of some of the companies that have worked with Saint-Gobain over the past 12 months is a Norwegian company called Kebony. And you see some examples of their products here. Kebony does something very interesting. They are actually transforming fast-growing, sustainably harvested softwood into a product that looks and feels and behaves like tropical hardwood. This is very important in the building materials industry, where you see a lot of use of tropical hardwood, and there's of course an environmental pressure on the rainforest to be less harvested around the world. One of the consequences of that is to try and find substitutes, and that's where this Norwegian company Kebony has innovated something spectacular. And Saint-Gobain has been helpful in distributing this product, in particular in the Nordic region today, but is working to expand this internationally. Nova has a very innovative way of working, which is a very networked way of discovering innovation, and which we at the Environmental Technologies Fund really like. They're very curious around new technologies and how that can play, and are prepared to invest resources into exploring the potential of these companies.